Good morning. I'm John Bitson, the Menard Family Director of the Sheila and Robert Challey Institute for Global Innovation and Growth. This morning, I'd like to introduce you to Andrea Smith. Andrea is a senior lecturer in business law at ndsu and a faculty fellow in the Challey Institute. Welcome, Andrea.
Thanks, John.
It's great to have you here this morning.
Good to be here, thank you.
Andrea, you're doing some very interesting research for the Challey Institute related to data privacy laws. What kinds of questions do you aim to tackle with your research?
Sure. So the United States actually does not have a comprehensive data privacy law such as exists in Europe. There have been a few states that have enacted their own data privacy laws. At the federal level, there are a number of pieces of legislation that have to do with privacy, for example, in healthcare, in lending, in student privacy, for example. But what we are currently researching is how consumers and businesses, what level of understanding that they have about the laws, and then what impacts those laws have on the way that people do business and the way that businesses set up their technology.
Very interesting. So you're looking at the aspects of privacy law and really how we could form privacy law related to data that would spur, not hinder innovation, but also protect people's privacy, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So this is obviously very important. Could you talk a little bit about the impacts that your research has on society?
Sure. So first of all, thinking about it from a consumer's point of view, from what we choose to do on a day-to-day basis, such as set up our Apple Watch or set up a smart thermostat, what level of understanding that people have regarding the data that is being collected and then how it's being used. So depending on whether there is legislation or is not legislation, may impact a consumer's ability to protect the data that is being shared. Now, from the business's point of view, as you mentioned, it's important not to hinder business growth and business development and innovation and so forth. But businesses need to know what the law is, whether there is a law or isn't a law, and then how to set up their technology systems in order to protect their consumers, which in turn protects themselves.
Yeah, very interesting. So I think that businesses may be vulnerable and they don't realize it, and then individuals are probably vulnerable as well. I mean, I think all of us give out our information a lot, and we don't realize maybe who has our information, our private information.
Correct, and how that's being shared as well.
Yes, exactly. So what kinds of questions might you want to answer in the future related to this? Sure.
So we have been looking at the law in Europe and then also looking at the law in California, which is the big state piece of legislation that has to do with data privacy, and what impacts those laws are having on businesses and consumers. And of course, that trickles down to the tech folks and the attorneys and so forth. But in terms of what to look for in the future, well, other states, as they start enacting their data privacy laws, if they choose to do so, will want to be looking at the content of the legislation that's been in place, what impacts that's had. Has it been helpful or harmful, or maybe a non-issue? Part of the impact of having a law like that is enforcement. What's happening on the enforcement level, if anything. And so looking in the future to say what should another state, what should their state law look like, would be certainly taking a look at what's been put into place to date.
Well, excellent. These are very interesting and important questions, and I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today to talk about it.
Great.
And thanks again.
You're welcome.